guys. We're here to talk about imposter syndrome. Fortunately, I took notes, so I don't have to try to rack my brain and try to remember, my ups and downs with this. It's something that I still deal with, but it's not so much in relation to my art anymore. We'll get into all of that. I don't know why I went to come so professional with this one. It's probably because I feel so deeply about this one. This topic is like a lot. So yeah, I have a few notes. So if you catch me looking down, I'm being a good student. So this is something that I've dealt with for years. Like I just mentioned, it comes and goes. It was more so something that I dealt with in the beginning years of my art. And since that's what this channel is about, that's what I'm going to be talking about. It's in relation to, is that even the way to say that? But no, it's not. I have suffered with it recently in terms of like my role as a student, and that is not related to art anymore. And so I don't feel like it relates as much, but you can take this and anytime you hear the word art, replace it for what you do. But yes, a quick definition. This is a combination of like all the best notes of the definitions that I found online. And so intellectual and or professional fraudulence, self-doubt that can stem from comparison or insecurity. Self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, the root, the base, the foundation, right? It's really awful. And like I mentioned, to this day I still deal with stuff like this. It's just not as much a relationship to my art. Ever since I went to college, it's been a lot more easy for me to be comfortable with calling myself an artist and believing that I can perform in the mediums that I love with confidence. And I don't think that before getting my degree I would have felt this way, which sucks. Like this is, it sounds so crazy, but please hear me. I am not saying that in order to be a successful artist, you have to go to school, you have to get an academic. Like, no. Some of the best, some of the most fabulous artists have never walked into an art institution. Or if they had, well, art learning institution, right? And spent money to be there and learn, But I will say, for me to feel more confident in my title as an artist, it helped. It helped to stop me from feeling as if I didn't deserve that title. A huge part of imposter syndrome is not being able to properly claim the title that is yours. I wrote in my notes somewhere that there is somebody out there with way less skill than you, way less gumption and drive than you, who has the title, claims it wholeheartedly with their full chest and breasts, and spews it out into the world, whether it's true or not. I live in a city where our downtown metropolitan area is very filled with famous artists' work. And so I see some amazing pieces regularly. And then, in the more inner city, there's more graffiti works, and I see those beautiful works too. But there are some on the downtown side where we're talking about artists that are very established. Their work genuinely raises, I think, every eyebrow hair I think I have. I don't know how people get to the stages that they are without, like there are some people who are like, how have you been a teacher for so long? Or how have you been an engineer for so long? Or an architect for so long? And people never realize that you are really crap at your job, but you just have the confidence behind your actions that make you seem like you know what you're talking about. And I've ran into this kind of person a lot. Everybody has, and then it can make the person who's dealing with the imposter syndrome, I hope, to reflect you know, and think, if I do all this research, I put in here too, I do all this research, I watch other artists, I invest incredible money into these art stores and in my mediums, I spend so much time practicing and perfecting and learning from myself, from others, like researching, expanding. And for me to think that just because I'm not where this artist is that's working in the downtown metropolitans or even in the inner city and have the confidence to put it on landscapes, you know, I mean, there's confidence, and then there's like, I wouldn't call it criminal activity, but technically it is against the law. Although I do think that's insane. You know, like, I mean, of course you wouldn't want it to be everywhere, because then people would just start tagging houses, and it's just, to me, if you've watched Gachi, that anime, I might put it up on the screen. If you've watched that, there's a part in there where they have Art Town or Art City or whatever the hell, and it's just filled with people who love art, and it's art everywhere. And that's the kind of world that I love. And so I don't really mind the graffiti, as long as it's not like silly or inappropriate or derogatory in any way. But yeah, here nor there. Not everybody can hold their composure with such a blank slate like a brick wall. I don't know that I feel like this video is mainly for me to like tell a little bit about, you know, where I was with it, and then also to not give advice, because the only person that can truly get you out of the feelings of being an imposter is you. Not to throw the ball back in your court, but I will say some more things, and hopefully you take them and hold them. Think about them, reverb them, remix it in ways that sound and make sense to your story. Okay, the first one being, there are people out there who have way less skill, way less talent, and I'm not trying to be bogus. Everybody's meant to have some place in this world doing their thing, and sometimes they're accidentally taking up spaces from people who deserve to be somewhere else, and they're missing out on spaces where they're meant to be. It's a lot. And so I am at a stage where I'm comfortable enough to say I am an artist. I do this for a living, and I don't think I'll ever stop. And I want people who, no matter what you do, to feel confident in your titles and confident in the knowledge that you have of your skill. I've been creating since the age of 4. And up until I got my degree, which I'm going to come back to my confidence stemming from there and like get into the darker parts of that like later. But I started drawing around 4. My dad and my older brother were the main teachers at that time. I looked up to my brother's comic book style and his like weird faces and his superhero characters. And then my dad, he always had a knack for drawing people, and he could always do them really skilled and quick, and I was always inspired by that. And he taught me how to like not be so upset with my art and like learn how to work things, and it was great. And being a 4-year-old, I didn't have a sketchbook because duh, I'm 4. But I did have a pencil that wasn't mine. And so I drew on the walls and the doors of my and my brother's room. It happened for a while. This was the case for a while, up until my dad started like giving me papers and like making me sketchbooks, and then eventually getting me my own sketchbook because he saw that it was something I wasn't gonna stop doing. And also after a while, when it was like knocked out of me to stop, not knocked out of me, but like I stopped drawing on the walls as much, I would just draw on my homework, and I would draw on other important documents like that. And then he'd just be like, dude, obviously I have to get her something else to express herself on. And so that was the case up until like the age of like 8, 10, yeah. And I kept it going, I kept practicing. I mean, genuinely don't know where any of those pieces are, because I was always so insecure of everything I created, and I lost so many pieces of my childhood art. that so many people still have and reference and show their progress, but I only have it up until like 2017. Or yeah, 2017, 2016 is the latest that I have, but I've been drawing since way before then. 9 times out of 10 it was on scrap paper, but it was the way I expressed myself. Although as time went on, I still never considered myself to be an artist or creative. Anytime people would ask me like, what are you doing? And they would like, you know, the typical people getting into the artist like bubble, they would ask the typical questions, and I would always respond with something that was not really what they asked, or it would be some kind of dumbed down version, or I would just say, no, this isn't art, I'm just doodling. I will always downplay everything I did, even when I saw the visible improvements of what I could do. And it sucked because people, you know, they would see it in me and in fact use me for help with their projects. And it's kind of crazy in that way, but they saw my talent even when I didn't. And you know, in that way, I guess I could appreciate my school community for sure at that. This is something that I mentioned too. If you have extensive knowledge and experience with something like art or literally whatever field you're in, if you have extensive experience in that, you're allowed to claim the title of that thing. Claiming the title is where imposter syndrome breaks first. That's the first crack we make in it, is by being able to look in the mirror and say it to ourselves that this is who we are and we have every right to claim that name. And so if you're feeling like you're not a good student, you're not a good artist, you're not a good mother, you're not a good father, you're not a good teacher, architect, engineer, comic book artist, toy maker, whatever you do, if you feel like if you feel like you're inadequate at it, give yourself the permission to give yourself that title at least. So, you know, saying it in the mirror, I mean, you know, I'm very spiritual here, but saying it in the mirror, writing it in journals, and then asking those questions as to why it may be hard to accept that this is who you are, and if there's any hesitations that can come from comparisons to others and anything like that. I have been drawing in my sketchbook. They're all down here. Like, there's so many. This is one from college. I can tell because I used to do my projects on the back. But this was my college one. And even in college, like, dude, it was not good. It was me learning and practicing over and over again. Like, it was me having to like re-understand everything, and the whole reason why I even, you know, wanted to do this stuff. Oh my gosh. This is a project that we had, designing a room. Like, and even then at this time, I still didn't consider myself to be all that good. Like, because I was like, oh, well, it's because it's a little flat and this. And it's like, yeah, it is, but you didn't push it as hard as you could have. And I feel like when we don't push ourselves, that can also make us feel like we're not very good at what we do, because we're just kind of stagnant and we see other people making moves, and naturally you're gonna see people. It's just when you see someone, we shouldn't compare behind that. But that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother conversation. Comparison is honestly joy's biggest enemy. So let's not compare ourselves to people and what they're doing or how far they are in their journeys. And know that yours could look so much different, so much more unique than theirs, and inspire a whole new wave of people. I hope that what I'm saying makes sense, because I'm trying to stick to my notes, but I'm also like trying to just talk off top, because this is something that's like pretty easy to, you know, get into. But I will say, if you don't enjoy it, there are so many different artists on this platform alone who talk about imposter syndrome in a way more psychologist, smart way. Go. But I will say, don't feel bad that you aren't where your future self is. All you have to do is know that they exist, and all they're waiting on is for you to make those slight changes so that you can meet them there. Let's not compare ourselves to that person either, our future selves. Let's not compare ourselves to our ideal selves, and gain more confidence in our abilities and our knowledge. There's so much more that can be said about this, but I genuinely don't have as hard of a problem with it because of my college experience. And now that we're back to that, it made me question if I would even have this confidence that I have as an artist if I didn't maintain my time and like actually push myself in art school. Like, would I feel as confident in my abilities to this day if I didn't go, you know? And honestly, I don't think I would, because I did so many different things. I was pushed in so many different ways in art school. It was so, like, honestly, it was very interesting, but it was also very challenging. I learned a lot of history, and I learned a lot of like techniques. I learned so many different mediums. It was like, is this what it means to be an artist? To know all of these things? Absolutely not. But to push yourself and to keep showing up even when the art class or teacher is driving you absolutely mad, when you feel as if people are discouraging future artists and making it seem as if human art isn't even important anymore. You continue to push yourself. And if it wasn't for my resilience, I don't think that I would have been able to adequately be confident in my abilities. You know, it's real crazy. But art school is for everybody. And then on top of that, there's absolutely free art school right on your device here. I wouldn't say that I give like art advice. I mean, I barely feel like I know what I'm talking about sometimes. And not that I wouldn't be able to tell somebody if they were in front of me. Like, I would have to like see you drawing or like see what you can do and then work with you from there. That's why I don't like to like give advice all too often. But I do, you know, I do like sharing topics like this because they're touchy, they're difficult, and I don't have the answer. I don't. And nobody on this app will, but you. Only I had the answer to my imposter syndrome. And we know where it stems from. We know the voices that we've embodied or taken on that just don't serve our creative spirit, or whatever kind of path you're feeling like you're an imposter in. You know, you wouldn't be there if you were an imposter. You wouldn't have these feelings to create if you were an imposter. You wouldn't have the knowledge and skills if you were an imposter. You're absolutely who you are, whatever that may be. I don't know. Hopefully there's artists or creatives watching me. I know that there's a few. And so I like to cater my art to you guys because, yeah, it's that time, girl. But with that, I'm gonna close it out. Hopefully you enjoyed. I think on the side of me I'm gonna have, well, I don't even know which side, but I think on the side of me I'm gonna have the comic book that I'm doing, because I kind of feel, okay, maybe I lied throughout the video. I maybe feel a little bit impostery about that because I don't really know what I'm doing. But I'm clearly doing it, so I know what I'm doing. And I like engage with comic books a lot, and I'm like rereading comic books a lot. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, thank you. I appreciate you. You can like it, you cannot. You can, what I really want you to do is go hydrate and nourish yourself and love on yourself.